This one's a bit rushed, everybody, but welcome to our review slash Carabao Cup draw watch along. I'm sorry looks all a bit frantic, but I've been tasked to do this immediately after the game, and I've had no time. I was about to pop to the shops to get milk, so they've been thrown in at the deep end here. But yes, welcome along. I am going to have guests joining me shortly, hopefully, to help us watch the draw and follow along with it. But yes, great win for Manchester United tonight as they advance to the semi-finals of the League Cup, the Carabao Cup to you lot around the world, beating Everton in a rather stressful game of football by 2-0. We left it late, but it was great in the end. So we'll gloss more about the game in a bit. That will be part of the review coming up shortly. But we're now in the process of waiting for the draw to take place. At the moment, Harry Maguire's on my TV screen just talking to the media. We didn't make it half easy for ourselves, but we did it through to the semi-finals. Now we have three different, two difficult tasks and a new team, because I don't think in the time we've been existing as a club that we've ever played Brentford. So it will be a completely new experience if we get to meet them. But the other two we know only far too well from our two previous encounters this season. In terms of Spurs and City, the Spurs one is one we try not to remember too much, but the Manchester City game is one that we very often see as a match that should have gone our way, but unfortunately didn't. And it ended 0-0. We had too many chances in that game. Not much really to build up in terms of the draw. It's just four teams. All we really are finding out here is who will be the next team on the way to Wembley, as we've already been there in 2020, having made it to the semi-finals of the FA Cup and ultimately falling short at the penultimate hurdle. This time around, we're looking to get one step further and hopefully win the competition. So, if you are watching, do drop a comment. I want to see what you guys think about the game. Give me your thoughts on what stood out for you. It was a boring match for me. It was very hard to watch that with all the pressure that was being put on us at stages. A lot of mistakes, a very sloppy affair. We came good in the end. If you feel the same way as I do, relieved, albeit with a tinge of nerves about the draw, drop a comment. And if you are watching YouTube, hit the like button and subscribe for more, as this is a regular thing now. We have fun doing it. If you're on Twitter, give us a follow as well. Retweet it, share it, do whatever. It would help us greatly as we're growing still as a fledgling United channel. But yeah, we're still waiting for the draw. They're just analysing the game, and it's going to take ages to do. But I guess while we wait, I'll give you my quick thoughts on that one. It was very sloppy at times, but we dominated the first 25 minutes and should really have cleaned up the match as we did on Sunday there and then. However, for what it's worth, we have had our fair share of scrapes this season in terms of getting last-minute winners or stealing a point or two from teams where at the end. This time around, though, we had to fight for it, and I was surprised we didn't clean up in the first half. We certainly struggled in the second part of the first half, really not able to get out of our half as Everton applied the pressure and let's put a lot of stress on us. Ultimately, we were into a cul-de-sac with them. So we're checking something, guys. 1 second. Okay, there we go. And yeah, that's just catching up some administrative stuff there. It was good for stage of the first half. We struggled towards the end of it. I'd have thought we would have gone behind sooner rather than later. But something that stood out to us was Cavani's incident with Mina, which with minus VAR was missed by the referee. And to be honest, I'm surprised it was. Ultimately, Cavani coming up good, smashing home from the edge there, and like the clinical top-class striker that he's been in the last 10, 15 years, coming up clutch right at the end. You good? There we go. coming up clutch at the end. Internet cut off short just a moment there. But yeah, coming up good. Good old Cavani. Always trust him to give us something to be glad about. Everton's defending for that goal, up to the point, Everton's defending was quite interesting at times, solid in areas, difficult in others. Ultimately, they succumbed to Eddie's goal. And great to see Tony Martial back on the score sheet as well. He scored 2 goals in 3 games. It's not great. He should have scored on Sunday as well, but ultimately, he had a bad day in front of goal, and he's found the net tonight, albeit right at the end when Everton committed bodies up the field and started our second into the net. So we've won up to twice now. We've beaten Everton, won up them in the league and now in the cup. So it's just a matter now of what comes next in the draw. Still waiting for a few pals to come in. Lovely pass by Rashford, set up the goal. He had a very good impact as always when coming on. And Fernandes tonight had a few moments where he struggled, didn't really dictate the game how I wished he would in the second half at times, but he had such a great influence in the first. Chances are plenty somehow running through him. Felt sorry that he didn't get on the score sheet tonight or create assist, but it's crucial. We get this. We have the tools now when resting players or in difficult situations to really kick on and start to put pressure on opponents whenever the games are as tight as that up to the very end. So we deserved it in the end based on our first half performance, but there were times where Everton just could have nicked it. Sigurdsson's header. There was a couple of efforts that I thought Dean would have had trouble with. He has made a great save actually from Sigurdsson's free kick in the first half. A fantastic save. There we go. We've got some company. And joining us now is Noah. Nice to see you, Noah.
Nice to see you, Ahmed. Nice to see
How you doing, mate?
Right. Okay, here we are. We're live, ready to go.
Yeah. We are good. You are present and we are still going, by the way. I've been like this for 7 minutes all by myself.
Yeah, that's fine. No worries.
We won't touch on the game too much at the moment because the draw is on the way.
Yes.
But I wanted to get your thoughts on all, some of the stuff I've said so far is based on the fact United had to ride it out for a while, struggled to really create stuff. It got sloppy at points. In the end, whether Cavani was meant to be on the pitch or not, with VAR, we would never know. But with the luck of not having it tonight, we had to ride it out. We got through it in the end, and he came up clutch for us once again.
Yeah, it was quite a sloppy performance from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's side tonight, all things considered. As you were saying, United had to leave really late to score the 2 goals, although the 2 goals were fantastic. I felt like Edison Cavani's just shows exactly why Ole Gunnar Solskjaer signed him. Top class finish on his weak foot, left foot into the bottom left-hand corner, left Olsen no chance of saving that one. And Martial's, which I was really happy with, a striker that as we discussed in the last match review, when we played against Leeds in 6-2 victory, Martial was really struggling with his finishing. But today, 23 minutes, 15 touches, 1 goal, 1 assist, exactly what we want to see from Anthony Martial, clinical finishing. And 2-0, a good result in the end. It looked a lot better than what it actually was. Although the first half was good, I feel like we were dominating. We did take our chances. Second half, we let them back into it when it should have really been over. But thankfully, we got the victory, and we'll get to see who we draw. Hopefully, it's Brentford. Hopefully it's Brentford. And whilst I'm not saying that Brentford will be a cakewalk, because it'll still be a difficult tie, it'll be much easier than the likes of Tottenham Hotspur and Manchester City, where when we've played them this season, we haven't been able to achieve a victory. And especially Manchester City in the Carabao Cup, a competition that they have been winning in the past few years, with real dominance. You really don't want to draw them again, as we realised last year when we got knocked out.
Absolutely. But I, with draws, I'm a cynic and always think that, based on how it's how we've been delivered our luck when it comes to determining who we play in competitions like these. It's always very inconvenient to think we'll play the small team. I have a strong feeling it's not going to be Brentford this time around. It'd be a miracle if it is, but I don't think it's going to be Brentford. I have strong feelings that we're going to have City or Tottenham here, only because there's just that feeling of, one of them's going to be a big time. It'll be a Manchester derby, or it will be Jose against Oli again. And for me, I'd say bring it on because, Judge at MCG01 brought up the message. He thinks Pep's a fraud. Bring on City. You know what? I don't mind, to be honest, because the way we played against City earlier this season in the league, we've definitely got something to take them on now with, and it certainly didn't surprise me that they played such a conservative game. For a long periods of that match, we played well on the front foot and didn't give them a lot of resting time. So for me, I think this is the best opportunity for us to reach the final, because either way, we get to the final, it'll be against Jose, because I don't expect Brentford to put something to do spot Tottenham over. I'll be shocked if they do. And it'd be probably the biggest tap-in we'll ever get for a trophy. But at the same time, my gut feeling says if we get Brentford, odds on it will be a Manchester City United final because Spurs against City in cup competitions never ceases to amaze us. It's always one team in dominance. And I know Jose's changed his tack a bit. He's made them a competitive side. I just don't know. My cynicism tells me we will not get that easy draw this time. We didn't get one in the Champions League or the Europa League, so
it would just be nice to get Brentford. Especially with this is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's fourth semi-final in I think his past 2 seasons, and we've never got to a final when we get into these semi-finals. So to just get there and just experience that feeling of like being in the final and being so close to a trophy would be really good for the players. As I was saying in the last match review, these players need to learn how to win, and they need to get that confidence, and they need to get that drive to win more trophies in every trophy in every competition they're in, because that's what big teams have.
Yeah. Absolutely. I just wanted to highlight a few messages before we continue.
Yeah, that's fine.
Fahad with a 2. 60 says we played at prime Barca for the first 25 minutes. Absolutely. We were fantastic for that period of the game. He also asked what's the draw? The draw is basically to determine who will play who in the semi-finals of the English League Cup. So we have Man City, Man City, Spurs and Brentford, along with Man United, who scraped through a very difficult game against Everton by 2-0 tonight. Very late goals from Cavani and Martial seeing us through. But more importantly, it's for the fact that I feel like, while a draw of this magnitude holds such value for us, because we can really, we really have a good shot at winning something. Other than the fact, and it's very annoying, that Jose Mourinho loves this competition. He's a cynic for it. Diete Thomas, there we go. Dinette Thomas says he thinks it's City again. Yeah, my gut feeling says that too, mate. I feel like we're gonna get City again. The difference this year, though, is that it's not going to be 2 legs. It's just going to be one. Where it's a complete knockout. I was
going to say the fact that it is now 1 leg, I think, does suit Manchester United, because they can invite the pressure of a Spurs or a Manchester City with maybe a 5 at the back or 3 at the back formation, hit them on the counter attack, as we know they like to do with their pace. For example, from Daniel James, who's been growing confidence from the Leeds game, Anthony Martial, Marcus Rashford. So I think, whilst obviously Brentford would be nice to rest some players, and obviously it would be much easier to deal with rather than the likes of Jose and Pep, Manchester City and Spurs. I feel like Manchester United, over a 1-legged tie, can cope with the pressure that those 2 teams will bring. So
certainly. So my gut feeling is that we, as a team, as we've demonstrated on Sunday and tonight, when we're on the front foot at the get-go, the game is ours to lose. But outside of that, it takes a lot more for us to get going. As we've seen numerous times this season, we've struggled when we go behind, but then suddenly turn up in the last half hour of the matches and steal the points away. And for me, while I, it exudes confidence that we are able to survive these sort of situations, I personally believe we do need to continue playing like this on the front foot from the get-go, keep teams on their toes and not allow them to dictate games against us, because every time we do, we tend to have that spell like tonight where we just sort of fall off a little bit. And we're not able to create. There's no movement sometimes, and there's also the points where you give the ball to, like tonight, for example, Van der Beek and Bruno, on numerous occasions after our little flurry, struggled to create stuff because of the fact we didn't have the movement from the likes of Cavani, Greenwood, and Co up front. And at times we were swapping in possession. But yeah, a couple of more messages to bring up. Fahad says again, whatever team we get, we need to win this cup. I got the feeling we're going to win this. Hopefully, I hope so too. We have to wait and see. Josh Huller, I can't even pronounce that. I'm so sorry. Who would I have, Spurs or City? Well, question. I mean, if you have, we have just touched on that. I have said I would want City, but if it's to be in a semi-final, we're more likely to meet Tottenham in the final because of Jose's serial love for this competition. So my gut feel, again, I hate saying that, but my feeling is we'll get City. And probably with the way we played this season against them, we should really be favourites to get through that because of how well we've played. We've been consistent, regardless, however, of the circumstances. We've been great away from home. We just have to win. We just have to have it at Old Trafford as well. I think that's important. Our game must be at Old Trafford because we've had that awful defeat by 6-1 this season. We've had numerous games where we've just struggled to get off the mark at home. If we get a semi-final at Old Trafford, it will probably get the players' minds thinking and taking the matter seriously instead of when they think about going away, for example, like they've done tonight. Kind of put the home team under pressure and relax a lot of the time before surrendering the ball and whatever. So, yeah, I think we have a better chance of getting through against City to the final and then seeing how we fare against Tottenham because, I mean, it's our chance at revenge against Spurs if we get to Wembley and play against them, as they should really get past Brentford. But as I've said, everyone, I'm not expecting the easy draw. I think we're going to have it hard in the semi-final. We just have to hope that Ollie can get us through it. So very shortly, everyone, if you're just joining us, you are watching Traffic Talk on YouTube and on Twitter. My name's Ahmed and Noah's with me. We have more guests coming on later on. The draw for the semi-final of the Carabao Cup is just about to take place with 4 teams left in the race to Wembley. Manchester United are one of them, having scraped through by 2-0 tonight against Everton. But there are 2 very challenging opponents and sides who, when it comes to trophies, one haven't been so lucky, whereas the other have been serial winners of this competition in Manchester City and Spurs. There is the surprise anomaly of Brentford, who knocked out Newcastle in the quarter-finals, who are also in the semi-final draw, having eliminated 4 Premier League sides on the road to this semi-final. So they have been in impeccable form as the last representatives from the Championship in the competition. So pretty much all the Premier League teams will want to play Brentford. But really, I don't know. Quickly covering something from earlier on in the game. Do you guys think there will be retrospective action taken against Cavani for the incidents of Yerry Mina? Well, I'll give our thoughts on that after the game. But the draw's out. Manchester United have been drawn first, and it's at Old Trafford, so that's important. We're at home. The next number out is... It's going to be Tottenham, I think. I was right. No, Manchester City. I knew it. I knew it. What did I tell you?
Yeah,
it's Manchester City at home in the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. I told you, everyone. It will be Tottenham versus Brentford in the second semi-final. Spurs at home for that particular match. But what did I tell you guys? I did say don't expect the obvious to happen. Don't expect the obvious to happen. We were always going to get the tough team. We were always going to have it hard. And sure enough, we've had it hard. We get Man City in the same order. So, know your instant reactions to that.
It's a huge tie. From the last 0-0 draw that we had recently in the Manchester derby. It's a great opportunity for the players and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to get back and restore some faith in the fans, because that I feel like that 0-0 draw really not only drained people at the time. I was struggling to keep awake, if I'm honest. But it just wasn't good football from either side, and I think both managers will want to come out and, especially as it's a one-legged tie, really want to come out and impress the fans, play some nice attacking football, and secure that place to Wembley. Both fans and both sets of managers and the players are going to be really up for it. I think for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Manchester United in particular, it's a great opportunity to finally get to a final and have that experience of in touching distance of silverware. So I think it'll be a massive game. Tensions will be high. Obviously, there'll be VAR this time, so there won't be any incidents such as Edison Cavani potentially not being sent off, as we saw today. So that could play a factor. But I think Manchester United should go into it confident. As we did see in the Manchester derby, Manchester City are not the team that they used to be. They do have fatal flaws, particularly in the fullbacks with Benjamin Mendy and João Cancelo in like defensive wise. And with United's wing play that they have with the likes of Marcus Rashford, Anthony Martial, Mason Greenwood, and now Daniel James, after the confidence he's gained after the game against Leeds United, United should go into it going to win and fully confident that they can win, and hopefully, they can get the victory in the semi-final, advance to Wembley.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just having a look through the calendar. Next, obviously, I mentioned previously on the last review that we were on that we wouldn't have it easy in our matches against in the next few weeks, because our next 3 games are against Leicester, Wolves, Aston Villa, before, I believe, an FA Cup tie it's an FA Cup tie against Watford. Now, here comes the problem. We already have 3 difficult matches. What's worse is we play at lunchtime this Saturday, so a very early start. We also now have Wolves on Tuesday before playing Aston Villa on the Saturday, on New Year's Day. Even in between us playing Villa and Watford is the semi-final. So we have 2 tough games. Then Aston Villa, who are not a team to be ignored in any circumstances. And then we play Man City. I think our best bet, if we get to the final, is the Watford game is probably the best opportunity we'll get to rest players and get players who need minutes, get them on the field, rest our first teamers, as many as we can,
debut for Moises Caicedo in that case.
Yeah, it should be. I hope so.
Or maybe someone like Facundo Pellistri, Amad Diallo, players like that. That game should really be a good opportunity for those kind of players to get some minutes and build some confidence.
If we got Brentford, I would have expected us to see them, because they are very good players. They should fit into their roles at the club comfortably. Unfortunately, that's not how it works on this platform. It's a little different. Now we've got to commit. We've got to commit. I feel like we will have it hard in this competition, because City are serial winners. They love the FA Cup. Dianat's come back in there and said the following. I'll just get up. I'm confident we can beat City, but worried about Tottenham in the final. Mourinho want to beat us in a cup final. Yeah. Well, it's not the first time Mourinho's met us in a cup final before, by the way. Yeah. He beat us in 2007 as Chelsea manager when we were on the way, I would say, to the treble that season in 2007. Had a sluggish game at Wembley, lost 1-0. So for Mourinho to do it again, it'll be a big call, but
He also took Manchester United to a League Cup final when we had the amazing game with the Ibrahimovic hat-trick against Southampton.
Double from Zlatan, actually. He set up Lingard's goal, though. So it was a man of the match performance from Zlatan that day. Albeit we struggled in that match against Southampton, conceded 2 goals in about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
that's performance that day from him. But we came through. We came good in the end. Our love for trophies at Wembley continued, and since then it's been all City. So really, what mistakes we have to look back at last season a little bit very quickly, because last season this game had us in a difficult position in the league. We're starting to recover, and if I'm not wrong, we had a poor result against Burnley before this. So was it? I think it was. Oh no, it was after City we had the game against Burnley. So we lost to City 3-1 at home in a poor first leg. albeit we salvaged something through Marcus Rashford in that game. In the second leg, we played at the Etihad, we played so much better and won 1-0, but couldn't get the second goal to force penalties, extra time or penalties. So last year we didn't play very well. We played quite deep. We let them come onto us a lot. They pressed high. They suppressed United in terms of playing out from the back, which at the time was more or less Ollie's like go-to measure when starting the attack. Get it out from the back and press immediately. And he caught us out, did Pep, that night. So what mistakes United made last time should be quelled this time? How do you see Ollie setting us up for that game?
It's gonna be interesting to see, because especially the fact that, like, last time was a two-legged tie, so obviously Solskjaer may have been thinking to soak up the pressure and maybe get like a 0-0 draw or a decent enough result to take to the Etihad Stadium in the second leg, which was obviously what the game plan was last season. Unfortunately, didn't come to be. This time, now that it's a one-legged tie, it has a completely different feel to it, as we saw tonight. I feel like Manchester United will probably try and play how they did against Everton, when they play Manchester City in the semi-final. On the front foot, high pressing, and really getting down the byline and putting some crosses into the box, because I feel like that is Manchester City's weakness. They do struggle to cope with the high press, as we've seen against teams. I know they beat Southampton recently, but they did struggle with their Genjan pressing tactic that Rafael Hasenhüttl uses. And they also definitely struggled when they played Liverpool at the Etihad Stadium in a 1-1 draw. So I feel that's probably what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will want to use. And I feel like when that game is, which is in January, you said, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's a Wan-Bissaka and the likes of McTominay who can do those kind of jobs, and getting up the pitch, up and down, will really help Solskjaer with that. I expect him to use Alex Telles in that game too, who was phenomenal today as well with his crossing ability, and as well as tracking the runs of the likes of Seamus Coleman. I think it was really impressive. But yeah, I think because it's a one-legged tie, as I've said, I think that's the main thing that will change how both sides really look at it. I can definitely expect Pep's side to have a similar idea. They probably want to control possession a bit more and similarly spread it wide, and probably get some corners, as we've seen with Manchester United throughout this season. Zonal marking on corners is not our strong suit. So I can definitely see them going for that. But I think, United should feel confident. They should, it's a completely different mood and aura amongst the fans and amongst the players compared to last season. As you were saying, after the Manchester City game, we lost to Burnley at home 2-0. And I can't remember the last time, Manchester United fans felt so low, really. But, this season is much different. We're doing well in the league. Obviously, the Champions League slip-up didn't help. But, in retrospect, with the group that we had in the Champions League, we did actually play some good football, and we probably, in hindsight, probably deserved to go through. The players just slipped up and made silly mistakes against the likes of Istanbul and things like that. So, I feel like Manchester United will go there attacking. They will go there to win the game, and I think, especially after last season's semi-final, and especially after the most recent Manchester derby, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer want to make it right to the fans. So that's how I can see it going.
I agree. I have firm belief that we have to one-up them, because last season was probably an opportunity to get to the final against Aston Villa, who at the time were in a very difficult situation. Would have helped our cause to have won a trophy, but, with the way things went after that, it changed everything. So, I think if we are to get to the final this year, I would rely heavily on our players being fit for this game. But essentially, as you've alluded to, McTominay and Fred being able to stay fit for the next 5 matches, because while it's not long away, it's the week of the 4th of January. So it'll be a Tuesday or Wednesday as well. So we're playing midweek again. We have to get through that stage. This stage naturally, with the 4 games coming up with Leicester, Wolves, Villa, and then City. We have to get through that with minimal skate. Literally try not to lose many players, because we have a long season. We still have a lot to play for. We still have a league to challenge for. And honestly, I would much prefer we get through I much rather we win this competition first and then prioritize the league. Trouble is, this then becomes a problem because it comes in the finals in April this year, not in May or March. Sorry. So we've got to think about our season a little bit. What do we do? Do we prioritize this? Do we prioritize that? And April the 25th is not a particularly good date because if I just look into we're supposed to play Leeds on that weekend. Should we make the final, that match gets pushed back. We get another game in hand. So, and I expect if Spurs should get to the final, we will have to play. We will also have them having a game in hand on the teams above them as well. So it's a conundrum, I think. So everyone's saying, I'm hearing everyone saying in the wider community, we could sack off the Europa League maybe, and we'll start focusing on the league. I can now see why. I still think a European competition is something to not ignore because we are still one of the best teams in Europe. We still have something to play for in that competition. Semi-finals of that last season, we have probably the best opportunity at winning that and to get back in the Champions League while still challenging for the top four. I think this squad can do it, and with what is being touted as our plans for the season, I wouldn't rule it out. So for this competition, I don't know. DNet comes back with something. I feel like the FA are about to ban Cavani right when we're about to play Liverpool. Okay. So just to allude to what he's bringing up, and I wanted to discuss it earlier, but we obviously had to draw. Edinson Cavani, who scored the crucial goal to put United in front towards the end of the match, had an incident in the middle of the field at a goal kick for Everton, where I would like to say, grovelled at Yerry Mina in a way that if VAR had seen it, would have seen him get sent off. Now, because the competition does not have doesn't have the technology before the semi-final, we kind of got away with one tonight. If the FA or EFL determine he must be retrospectively banned from that decision because a VAR choice would have sent him off, crucially, we lose another attacking option. We're not likely to keep. We're not keeping Igalo, as I understand, so he won't come in at all. We will lose an attacking option. So, how imperative is it that we have Cavani to help us through this very difficult period?
Yeah, no, it's going to be difficult. Obviously, we're not sure what's happening with that decision. We're not sure whether that will come back. We're not sure, obviously, what's going to happen with his ban for the incident on social media. Obviously, that's still being investigated. There is obviously a head of a university, I believe, that's investigating that for cultural racism against him. There's people in Uruguay. It's all quite messy off the field for Edinson Cavani right now, which I guess you can credit him for saying that the fact that he's still playing ridiculously well on the pitch and getting he's completely pushing that away from his mind is very impressive. Obviously, as you said, it is going to be difficult for the club to deal with, especially with planning for all the different competitions that we're being in this year. And, that links back to what we were saying on the match review for Leeds, is that the January window coming up for transfers is hugely crucial for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because the amount of competitions that we're in, the amount of competitions that we want to win, and and the squad depth that we need improving on, even though we have, as we saw tonight, bringing on the likes of Anthony Martial and Marcus Rashford off the bench to make an impact, which is absolutely superb. Ole still needs reinforcements. Obviously, there's been recent reports throughout the past few days of them signing a young Ecuadorian midfielder, Moises Caicedo. There's obviously been reports of them also looking at centre backs such as Ben White and David Alaba. That remains to be seen, and particularly with David Alaba, as he is a free agent, there's going to be a lot of clubs interested in this January. And obviously, there's still talks about things like Jadon Sancho and et cetera, et cetera.
I wanted to get your thoughts very quickly on the Ecuadorian Moises Caicedo. We last week spoke about this, or last match we spoke about it. I want to say it was sort of fleeting rumors. Now more concrete evidence and reporting has come out that it is actually going to happen. United are pursuing this deal and will look to complete it before Brexit happens so that he can get his permit and start playing for And I would like him to start playing sooner rather than later. The player, as a player, he has bags of potential. He's very good on the ball. He's aggressive in the tackle. He's a wonderful runner. He scores. He shoots from range as well. So he has qualities that most of the talent in the current United team do in some ways lack. And I see a positive future for him. What are your thoughts on his impact his impact obviously being Ecuadorian, because they have not many big stars that come out of there. We've had Antonio Valencia before being an example. But in terms of, the fact that he's coming to a club with little resource in that area where Nemanja Matic is the only real source to sit and determine how the ball goes from back to front. How crucial is he? And will he be able to kick on in the first team when he arrives? Should he arrive?
Yeah. Well, as you've been saying, there's been recent reports developing over the past few days, and myself, I've been developing a scout report, which I'm hoping to publish this week. So I have been watching some footage of Moises Caicedo and how he kind of plays. And as you said, he has a lot of good qualities that United do miss. The fact that he's able to sit there and dictate the play, and he's very good in identifying pockets of space out wide, which is something that is deeply missed, I think, from the likes of Paul Pogba sometimes. But one thing that he does do, which is very similar to players such as Paul Pogba, Nemanja Matic, and Bruno Fernandes, is that when he picks up the ball, he always looks forward, and he always looks to make passes into areas that, whilst it may not be a successful pass, if it comes off, you're going to be in a 1v1 situation where the striker's going to be in a 1v1 situation, and it's going to create a really good chance to score. And I think, for a player that can, not only dictate the play in a defensive role, but also has that ability to spread the passing, similar to Bruno Fernandes, with the high risk, high reward strategy, is, such good versatility for a 19-year-old. And, the fee that's being thrown around, which is, I think, £4.5 million, €5 million, is a very, very good price. 5-year deal that's being talked about. Apparently £25,000 a week ish, weekly salary. So I think United, obviously with Facundo Palestri, as we've seen, have developed a good scouting network in the South American leagues. Obviously, Palestri's developing his game very well right now in the Manchester United Academy. I think last time I checked, he scored 3 goals in 3 games. One in the Manchester derby as well, which was great to see. Yeah, so they've obviously got some confidence, and they've got a good network there, and they've obviously identified, this young stuff, the ability that he has. But also, one thing that I did see is the desire he has. He's come out and said prior to this interest that Manchester United is one of his favorite clubs, and he really bases his game off the likes of Paul Pogba and N'Golo Kante. Which is not some bad players to base your game off of, and I think he can bring a lot to the table. Obviously, it's very risky bringing a 19-year-old from an unknown league straight into the Premier League, and particularly straight into Manchester United starting 11. But I think United have been scouting him for a while. They've obviously set up this networks in the South American regions for a while, and they're picking up these players, so they should have faith in what they've scouted, what they've seen, and obviously paying £4.5 million for a 19-year-old, they clearly shows that they have some faith in his ability. So I think it will be good. I think he can really bring a different dynamic, but also develop the current dynamics that some good players that we know, like Nemanja Matic have, and Paul Pogba have, and Bruno Fernandes have. And develop it more in the midfield, which would be great to see. So yeah, I think I'm looking forward to seeing him. If we can get the deal done. The big thing that's in question right now, as you were saying, is the work permit. Obviously, with Brexit happening, it's much more difficult for teams like Manchester United and other English teams to get players from overseas into England, as we're seeing with Amad Diallo. We're still struggling to get that sorted. Hopefully, we will.
Yeah, I believe it's close, but he should be able to receive that and be able to arrive just before we get into Brexit. So, with an Italian passport, he shouldn't have too much trouble.
Yeah.
With Caicedo, he's coming directly from Ecuador, so I don't know how easy that will be. I'm not the most, the most into litigation and law in terms of immigration and passport control, but I'm quite sure that this will need some like ratifying from government and everything for him to be able to have a work permit, especially when he's from where he's coming from. But I think we should be okay. Should be all right. This is United. Normally, when they have these things, it tends to swimmingly go through. And as you mentioned, with the EU rule set to change, obviously we're going to be an independent country again, which is interesting. But at the same time, we have problems football wise. Players overseas will have to have, I think, numerous things before numerous sorts of like ideal scenarios. It'll be points based, so for United, transfers will be a little bit more tricky. So like if they get Jadon Sancho back, for example, it's a shoe-in because he's English. He would not require a work permit. But if we're going to get someone like David Alaba, Nikola Milinkovic, or even I would say if we're getting foreign again, a shout would be Rafael Varane, and it's wild, but this is just an example. If we were going to get any of them, all foreign, all players that have European passports, they will have to demonstrate obviously level of English and some other tests that will be can determine whether they can come in. So for that, it will be a very inconvenient thing for United. But what's done is done. Let's get back to tonight's game, though, because we've talked on a lot about the draw, the possibility of players coming in. We obviously covered at the beginning of the review / draw reaction that United slugged their way through this. But in the whole, it was a professional performance against a very robust Everton team who didn't allow very much to penetrate them after the first quarter of the game, where United simply dominated and played off the park. Basically, they should have been long gone in that point of the match. So for you, what for United worked well in that period of the game that allowed us to give Everton such a hard time and not give their forward players a chance on the ball?
Well, as you were speaking about, United potentially looking at centre backs in January, and I won't go more into that, but one thing that really stood out for me with this game and kind of threw me off is whilst I still think United do need to sign a centre back, the players, in the defensive area, such as Axel Tuanzebe, Alex Telles, and Eric Bailly, they really impressed me tonight. They showed great composure on the ball. They showed great energy to move the ball forward and pick up the ball and take it forward, which is one thing that I think Manchester United centre-backs need to do more, pick up the ball and move it forward, which is something that Harry Maguire does. But if you have two centre-backs that can do that, it pushes the whole shape of the team forward, and it just creates more space for your players as well out wide, which is what we were seeing with Alex Telles. I believed, he created 3 chances in the first half versus Everton, and no player created more, which was great to see. He was really, shining in his attacking areas, crossing in the ball, which is something that we hope to see when we sign over £15 million in the summer. And, Axel Tuanzebe, a natural centre-back who was unfortunately having to play out wide due to Wan-Bissaka's injury, and I think Brandon Williams was feeling unwell. But, I think he did really, really well. Whilst his attacking quality, and obviously I think there's a couple of instances where like he a normal right back would like cross it into the box for like Edison Cavani. Obviously he wasn't particularly comfortable with that, as he's a centre back. He's not really going to put in the greatest delivery. But I felt like his energy and his drive, taking the ball up and down, and like his defensive awareness was particularly great for Manchester United tonight, and it really mitigated the presence of like Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin. And it pushed Everton back, as I was saying, them playing out wide and driving the ball forward, it pushes the Everton, backline, further back, and it makes them feel constrained. And, with the high press that Manchester United had when Everton did have the ball, they just felt completely like trapped, and it allowed United to create some good chances. And as we said, United probably should have put the game to bed in the first half. I think there was a couple of chances. Mason Greenwood had a great header that probably should have gone in at the far post. I think it clipped the post, actually. Cavani had 2 chances on goal that also at the near post that he had to save, and there was a couple of chances that while players didn't take shots, there was I think a couple of chances where Donny van de Beek and the likes of Paul Pogba probably should have had a dig, and probably should have tested the keeper, but unfortunately it didn't. But it is what it is. I mean, we're through, which is great. Obviously, when we're playing against a team like Manchester City in the semi-final, if we're going to go like that, which I feel like we do need to take those chances. But, it was good to see, United, as you said, usually away from home we don't start that well. You know, when we've played the likes of West Ham and other teams like that, Brighton as well, we haven't started on the front foot. And we've often gone behind. But today, we took it to them. We constrained them with the width and the drive and the press, which was really impressive from Solskjaer and the players. And it worked wonders in the first half. So I was very impressed with that.
Absolutely, it's a stark difference to Leipzig, because in that game,
Yes.
it was more. I always want to refer that game was the point where he must have changed his tack a little bit. With Leipzig, we played that 5 at the back system. Now I can imagine if we had played this system there, we would have conceded those goals so early in the match. I feel like not with the personnel tonight may have also done a better job defending those opportunities from Amadou Haidara and Angelino. Nevertheless, I love Eric Bailly. He's one of my favorite players at Manchester United, undoubtedly, because of how he's a crazy guy, but he's also one of the best defenders I've seen. Wearing the shirt, not in terms of consistency, but when he plays well. And unfortunately, the 1 or 2 occasions this season where he has played have been in the Carabao Cup. He did get the shot in that, the 6-1 we don't want to talk about, but it was more the fact that he was part of the team that just struggled to adapt to that quick response from Mourinho's side that day. Since tonight, he proved to me that he's still crazy, but he still has a role to play in this team. And I think for sure he would do an equally important job for United this season. Axel Tuanzebe, we've missed him, I think. We missed him against Paris because of how he got suspended against Istanbul. We missed him. And tonight we showed why he pretty much shut Richarlison out of the game. I don't think it was very often that the ball went out wide towards the Brazilian before he had that.
And to do that, not in a natural position, just really impressed me. And just really, just to see his confidence in, some players when they're playing out of position would slump down, feel negative about it, and wouldn't be bothered. But he was fired up for it. He was, ready to do a job, and he really impressed me tonight. He really good.
Yeah, he grasped the opportunity is what I always say, and he's grasped it. He's not a natural right back. I just think that this does require the more of an attacking option, a player that has the pace, that can get the ball in and does very well tracking back as well. But I think with Alex Telles we have something on down the other side, so that's not too big of a deal. Tuanzebe for me is ideal for these scenarios where if Wan-Bissaka does get hurt, he and Williams, as you mentioned, is not fit. This is, I think, a good opportunity for him to use this game time coming up. Hopefully, he should play on Saturday if that's the case with Wan-Bissaka. He should play Saturday, and I will hope that he can deal with whoever plays on the left-hand side for Leicester in a similar manner to how
Barnes,
he did tonight.
Ashley Barnes.
Yeah, Harvey Barnes,
Harvey
Barnes. I don't know about Ashley running around. Ashley Barnes doesn't have pace. The guy's a snail. He can't run. Can we quote Alex Telles as a right who has a right foot and play him on the right? I wish we could, but it's now we're fine. One defensive right back and one attacking right back is fine enough. That's more than what we need at the moment. We'll see what we can do later in the year in the window. But I was impressed with Tuanzebe. I never watch a game and think I'm going to be disappointed by his performances because I know what to expect from him. I expect pace. I expect him to be strong. I expect him to be dominant in the one-on-one battle. He is somebody who naturally, as a centre-back, only knows to cover areas where he can, let's say he covers the areas in the middle where most centre-backs would more or less just go to the man and go for the header and maybe lose out and leads up to a goal. Tonight, Maguire, in fact, Dinette come back and says Maguire even did well today. I've got to give credit to Maguire too. I can't ignore him because he's our captain, but he never fails to disappoint when he's playing for United. I think it's just the fact that he's underrated quite a lot because of the obvious...
the 80 million price tag always,
the one thing I never want to say... Yeah, it just overshadows. Yeah,
exactly.
It's frustrating, but he played well today. But for me, it's Bailly and Tuanzebe because I love those guys. I think they're very good defenders. I wish they were I wish they were starting centre backs because you have two pacey centre halves, one that can jump, one that's strong on the ground. I would love them to be the starting ones, but Maguire just can't be kicked out of the team in any way. He's certainly in form. He's doing so well. So the defence today get Paulus, can't rule out Henderson. great save from a free kick. He had very little to do, but when called upon, did it very well. So I think tonight he sort of redeemed himself for last week at Sheffield United, because he played on his mind, I think, a little bit after that game, thinking the next opportunity will be, well, I'll make sure to make it a good one. Progressing forward up the pitch now. Different pivot tonight, Matic and Pogba. Pogba, obviously, this is another chance for him to see if he can squeeze into the starting 11. Regularly he does, but this time around, he's not often seen as someone who plays free. He's not seen as someone who can play frequently without keeping the level of form going. The way he did it in 18-19 was remarkable because he was playing in the position Fernandes is playing in. Tonight, though, what I saw was Matic playing as part of the back three, freeing Tellers up the field, and Pogba being allowed to just do whatever the hell he wanted with Van der Beek and Fernandes. And it was, again, I hark back to that point of the game where we were dominating the match, where it was those three together just creating the play and giving us that freedom down more or less the left-hand side of the field. Everton just cowering and dropping back to deal with the immense stress that we were putting on them. So I know we can't have them all playing together all the time. It would just ruin the system completely. But how important was it tonight for those three, as just for once, those three playing together? How important was it to get them firing, understanding each other's game, and in some way being part of a big win for United?
It was massively important because, as you said, I don't expect all three of them to play together all the time. But, two of them will. And, to build that chemistry, obviously Pogba and Matic have had that chemistry from previous seasons under the likes of Jose Mourinho when we were behind Manchester City in second place. As recently, Pogba and Van der Beek have been playing, for the likes against West Ham and other games. And I think they've been playing well. I think Pogba and Van der Beek in particular complement each other very well, as they're very forward-thinking players. They're very intuitive. They always fit, look to create rather than pass sideways. And the runs that they make, they'll know that's the kind of run that they would make. Similar to how a striker is very good at playing through balls to another striker because they know where they'd like to run and know that they'd like the ball. So I feel like those two complement very well. But again, as we've been saying, whilst we are, Manchester United are looking at replacing Nemanja Matic with a younger version such as Moises Caicedo, he showed that he still has something in the tank. He recently signed a new contract that I believe is from June 2023 when that new contract.
Yeah. He's got a couple of years left. I think he will be important. So
exactly,
he'll be important. I think we need to rely on him to, let's say, support the team. In any case, if we do take Caicedo into the first team and play him a bit, see how he fares in England.
And one thing as well with Caicedo potentially coming in, one thing that Edison Cavani has done off the pitch that's really going unnoticed, and I think is very, very good, is his experience and the feedback that he's given to likes of Mason Greenwood and Anthony Martial, the younger forwards. But also, I remember when we played PSG and we won 2-1, he gave some very important advice to the likes of Axel Tuanzebe and Harry Maguire and how to deal with the strikers such as Kylian Mbappe and Neymar and those kind of players. And I feel like Matic could very well provide that same support for the likes of Van der Beek. Say if he started to pick up some more game time, Moises Caicedo, if he came in and started to pick up some more game time, as obviously that is the long term plan and the long term replacement for Nemanja Matic. I feel like he has a lot to offer, and I think as you were saying, the big reason why United was so successful in the first half is because of that pressure. But Alex Telles, driving the team forward with his attacking play crosses, he wouldn't have been allowed to do that if it wasn't for Nemanja Matic protecting the back four in that sense, and that's what a defensive midfielder should do. And he did it. He did it perfectly. As you're saying, at times, United kind of switched to a back three in a way with Tuanzebe and Bailly as the wide centre backs, Maguire in the middle, and Matic just as the sweeper in a way, just making sure that there's no pressure from the likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison. And I think that was a Solskjaer tactic, and Solskjaer deserves credit for that as well because it worked a treat. As we said before, Manchester United really should have put the game to bed in the first half. Obviously, they didn't, but you can still credit the players for the effort that they did. I think they were just unlucky with chances. I don't think it was particularly like them being poor or anything like that. But credit to Nemanja Matic, and hopefully he, Pogba, and Van der Beek together can develop more fluidity and a stronger relationship, especially when attacking. because I feel like that's that. If I was going to criticize them a little bit tonight, some of the runs that they were making, or some of the passes into the likes of Edison Cavani, were a little bit rigid or a little bit too slow sometimes. And I feel like that's kind of, they lack that killer through ball at times. And I feel like, obviously they haven't played a lot together, and, the more they play together, the more they'll get used to each other's runs and things like that. But, I'm picking at like straws here, really.
Yeah.
I think all three of them had a collective effort, and it was, I think that's what it was at the end of the day. It was a collective effort, and it was a collective win to get to the semi-final tonight. So yeah, credit to all of those three.
Yeah, absolutely. Big win for United. So let's just move, because I don't want to do too many shows this week. I'm a busy man. We're going to do a very quick, short preview for Saturday. Massive game against Leicester now. It's technically second versus third because we have a game in hand on Spurs. I'd say second versus third. Second versus third. We have a huge opportunity to close the gap to Liverpool with a game in hand and go into second place in the Premier League against, I feel like, a team that cannot be ignored anymore in the Premier League. This Leicester team are learning the lessons of last season. They are probably still bitter over our win on the last day and the way it happened. I'm positive that there's something still eating away at Brendan Rodgers' mind at how we got that victory against them on the final day of the season to get Champions League football. So this game again holds weight. It's a massive match for us, again away from home at the King Power Stadium. They set up against Tottenham in a 4-1-4-1 formation, which allowed 5 attacking players, indeed, just to sit back and do nothing more than to clean up anything that comes towards them. And they suppressed and beat Spurs. They didn't beat them cleanly, I'd say. They scored a penalty and an own goal. But that still doesn't change the fact that in that game, Maddison dictated the play. Harvey Barnes and Albrighton were energetic and just burst down the wings, exploiting the space the fullbacks were vacating from going up the pitch. You have Tielemans creating. He's a very dangerous customer, in my opinion. One of their best players. He certainly is comfortable playing as in a system as such as the one that Rodgers has deployed him. Fofana, Evans, an ex-United player, knows about us already. Fofana is a brilliant signing for them. He's kicked on brilliantly since joining from Saint-Etienne, and he's definitely someone that I think will be the focal point from corners. He's there. He's a very tall player. He wins headers. He's dangerous again in the box as well from the attacking side of things. So anything that comes his way, he deals with, and it will be hard to get past him. I can't ignore Timothy Castagne as well. He's got energy. He's that sort of utility man. He can play left mid. He can play left back. He's just focused on one side of the pitch, but can do so well down there.
Belgium international, right? Yeah, Belgium international.
Yeah, Belgium international came from Atalanta in the summer. So He's another player that I think has been, well scouted by Leicester as someone who could do a job. This team are not going to take us lightly. They didn't do that in the summer, but they struggled in that game. When we compare that to now, obviously the circumstances are equally as great as they were on the last day of the season. Trouble is, this time there's no concluding element to it. It's just 3 points on the line. But crucially, we must win this game. We need the points. It's away from home again. And for whatever reason, we just seem to be doing well away from Old Trafford at the moment. So, no, how crucial is it we set up in a way that will not allow Leicester to dominate the game? They did the way they did against Tottenham and against Manchester City. I must remind you, because they did completely sweep them aside 5-1 this season, which is demonstration of what they are capable of if given the full arsenal of their weaponry. How important is our setup for this Saturday? Because it cannot in any way be one player who's not had a lot of minutes going into a game against second place in the league and a side that are clinical on their day.
Well, yeah, no, I think you summed it up perfectly. Particularly with the formation that Leicester have been using, the 4-1-4-1, it really gives them depth when defending and attacking. It's very versatile, and I think with the players that Leicester have, the likes of Wilfred Ndidi, Fofana, James Maddison, Yuri Tielemans, they're very versatile players themselves, and they can always interchange however they come. So it's a very different Leicester team, even though it's been 4 or 5 months since we last played them. It's a very different Leicester team, very different organization in how they play. So it's going to be difficult for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I think there's two real formations that he can use with, or tactics. He can either use a 5 at the back And use the likes of I think I would for a back three, you probably use Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof, and either Eric Bailly or Axel Tuanzebe, because I feel like you have to give one of those players a chance after their great performance tonight. I think if you go with that, then you'll probably want the likes of Alex Telles, maybe if Wan-Bissaka's back. If not, probably Brandon Williams, because I think the only reason he was out tonight, he had a slight illness, but I think he'd be able to recover for Saturday's game. So I think that would be, or Sunday's game. Sorry, my apologies. Boxing Day. So I think that would be fine. And then you'd probably have in the midfield, you probably have the likes of Paul Pogba, Bruno Fernandes, and again either Nemanja Matic or Donny van der Beek. It depends which player Solskjaer probably wants to choose. Probably Nemanja Matic to deal with the not only the pace that Leicester have, but also like Nemanja Matic physicality would probably mitigate some of the pressure from the likes of Tielemans and Maddison. Because one thing I have noticed when you're speaking about Fofana, that he's good from corners, that's probably only Leicester's really good aerial threat. They're quite a small team in hindsight. So I feel like if you have the likes of Paul Pogba, Tuanzebe, Nemanja Matic, those kind of physical players, I think it would be good to use those. So I can see him using a back three, but I can also understand your point that United should probably want to go on the front foot rather than trying to soak up the pressure. So I can also see him using the 4-2-3-1, which would probably see Matic and Pogba as the two defensive midfielders. Kind of maybe if he wants to switch it up, he could maybe do use Fred in that game as well. And then obviously with a back four, you'd probably use again if Wan-Bissaka's out, which is looking likely. You'd use Axel Tuanzebe again at right back, because I think he showed today that his versatility and his drive and his passion to play anywhere in the pitch, and for Manchester United is something that really shouldn't be missed. Again, Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof, and I think Alex Telles in either formation needs to start. The attacking presence as well as the crosses into the box, no matter who's in there. Anthony Martial, Addison Cavani, can't be can't be pushed away. And I think against the side like Leicester, who apart from Fofana, if you can isolate him in a way, which obviously someone like Edison Cavani with the runs that he makes, the clever runs that he makes to either run into space or drag a player out of position for someone else, I feel like United could probably utilize those crosses really well. So I think either the 4-2-3-1 or the 3-4-1-2 or 5-3-1-2, however you want to say it, it's probably the formations that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to use. It just comes up at the end of the day. It's just what he feels best, for this Leicester team, really, to soak up that pressure that you said that they have.
I agree. I'm just looking back at our other matches against them, and they've dominated the head-to-head, obviously, with 30 previous appearances, 9 wins.
I was going to say that, they do have a good record against Leicester, so that could support the idea of going for a 4-2-3-1 formation and going on the front foot. But, of course, as you said, this is a different Leicester team. They're a different kind of beast. So,
I watched them in the Europa League this season. And I feel like, for me, that's my other Premier League is their bread and butter. I watched them in the Europa League. I feel like this is, which is a big boost. While it's not the competition they wanted to be in, I feel like they are playing with a freedom. French players get minutes. They play quality football against sides that aren't really going to challenge them, and they have a lot of quality below that. Cengiz Under, for example, he's someone I really, really like, and he's probably one of the young talents from Roma who I thought would kick on the Turkish international. I would say Perez is clinical. Kelechi Iheanacho, City player, is quite a clinical player as well. Nampalys Mendy is not N'Golo Kante, but he still does that job, cleaning up the ball, energy, rounding around the pitch. All those players played in Europa League this season. They've all had minutes. They've all had opportunities to build up opportunities to get up to match fitness. And now they've got to the point where obviously the Europa League's over. Some of them are still there or thereabouts. So if called upon to do something to determine the way the game will go on Saturday, I think there's options on the bench. It's not strong like ours. Ours does have depth in terms of quality and players who can come on to change the game.
As we saw tonight.
Yeah, with Rashford and Martial. And the other day in the, I think it was against Leeds. Against Leeds, we had Van der Beek and Cavani come off the bench, both coming on to do a few minutes and bring the key men we need to be fit off and allow them to have a rest. Our quality in depth is good. With Leicester's, it's more for the level they play at. It's okay, but they all do a role. They all play well. They lost their last. They did lose to Everton last week at home, however, while before beating Tottenham. So that game, and that was a game I watched in the whole, where they didn't do too much in the way of creating stuff because Everton had tonight played a system which was robust, which was narrow, which was very hard to break through, and in the end, Richarlison scored a very good goal, and they didn't deal with a corner, which, as you mentioned, because of the lack of height, was converted easily. So, with that in mind, they can be gossed at in two elements, from set pieces and in terms of the fact they can't deal well against narrow defenses. And they have, maybe because they have too many attacking players, the gaps in behind are just fruitful for opposition midfielders and attacks to just break into. So, we will. I think we'll see what will happen. But I'm hoping it's a positive result in the grand scheme of things.
Well, at the end of the day, United are flying, and after tonight's result, they should feel like they should be able to beat anyone, and if they want to keep this title challenge or charge on, as some fans want, they have to win these types of games against these types of opposition. So it's a big game, but United did it last year when it was a much bigger game, much bigger scale. Solskjaer got it right tactically that day, and I feel like they can really have a good performance at the weekend.
Certainly, we will. We hope for the best and nothing more. I guess we've reached our limit. We've exceeded the hour. We're normally not allowed to do that, but I wanted to cover many things as possible. The draw for the Carabao Cup. Manchester United will play Man City in the semi-final on the week of the 4th.
I think we've done a good job.
Brilliant. So. Yeah, we've covered a lot this evening. Cup draw, tonight's game, the way the team played, the next match on Saturday, we covered a lot. Reminder, obviously, for everyone who didn't join us earlier, United drawn in the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup against Man City after beating Everton 2-0 tonight. Both Edinson Cavani and Martial scoring 2 late goals, securing our place in the semi-final. The other semi-final is Tottenham against Brentford, which should really be going one way. So practically, one of our Manchester sides will meet Spurs in the final on April 25th and not in March this year, as they're trying to encourage the date being later to have more people in the stadium sooner rather than later. So, fingers crossed. I want to be there. So let's hope for it. But alas, that is it from us here tonight. I appreciate everyone who's come on, contributed, giving us comments. We'll be back on Saturday. Cam will be here. I'll be here for the review for the Leicester game. If you have watched us all the way through, thank you so much. You're legends. If you could do one more thing for us, hit that like button, subscribe to the Trafford Talk podcast on the YouTube channel. If you are on the Twitter, like, retweet, follow us. Do all that. We will really appreciate it. We've slugged for an hour. I really need a drink. Thank you, everybody. Take care. We'll see you on Saturday. Until then, stay safe and have a good Christmas. Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah, good. Have a Merry Christmas, everyone. Stay safe. Stay safe.
Adios. Bye-bye.